Good morning. Welcome everyone to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Small Business Technical Assistance Workshop in partnership with the SBA Community Navigator Program. We look forward to really engaging each and every one of you. We're going to get started in a few moments. Want to make sure people are able to come on in. So feel free to come on in. This is a networking opportunity. So we want to make sure that go back to the beginning, Gina, with the slides. Let's first get everybody in. This is a networking opportunity. While we're not in person, this is a networking. So make sure you introduce yourself in the chat. You never know who is here, who may need your services. As a business owner, we always want to make sure you are networking every single opportunity that you have. So definitely put your information in the chat so that we can know who you are, what you do, and you can connect with others that may need your services. And we're going to give a few more moments while people start to come on in. We usually like to give about 5 minutes for people to come in and get started exactly 10:05. So feel free to come in and say hello and good morning in the chat. I see you, Gina. Good morning. Echo on the go cleaning solutions. If you want to make sure that you have your business or residence clean, make sure you reach out to Gina Grant. Good morning. I see we have Teresa Glover, who's opening up a coffee truck. Oh, Teresa, you may want to reach out to us at the chamber. We actually just got a request for someone that provides coffee and all types of things. We don't even have someone in the membership that does that. So if you become a member, I can refer you to a pretty large contract with one of the local institutions here in Miami, where they're looking to secure minority vendors to provide coffee and all the little knickknacks like the cups, the straws, and all that stuff to their facilities. So reach out to us as a chamber. Teresa, I see you, William, over Above Average Lawn Service. Welcome to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce and being a part of this event. We have Coach Annabelle from Global Empire, a basketball skill development coach that helps athletes youth to develop physically and cognitively. They also offer programs in all organizations, including schools. Purpose is to teach athletes interpersonal skills they need to succeed in life. See, that is an introduction in the chat. That's a networking. I love it. Perfect. Good job, Ken and Bodie. Thank you for introducing yourself in the chat. That is awesome. All right, who else we have here? Alexis. We have Alexis. Company is King Green All-Purpose Landscaping. Welcome to the Small Business Meetup, Small Business Technical Assistance Workshop with the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. We have Damien, who's asking the question, are you ready to reshape your closet and boost your confidence? Get a personal closet coach. Learn more at sizewiseclosetcoach.com. All right, even put contact information. Great, so we got a good group here. Make sure y'all are putting information in the chat. We're gonna get started in less than 1 minute. I'm already seeing it. Thank you for joining us. We have Tracy Cabanas. Hey, Tracy, how you doing? The credit attorney that is here with us today. All right. So we got some good people introducing themselves in the chat, making sure they take advantage of this networking opportunity. Y'all know that since the pandemic, a lot of these workshops that used to be exclusively in person are now online. But we don't want that to stop us from networking with each other. And we also leverage it because now we can be at our business and still get this information. We don't have to take out 3 to 4 hours out of our routine to actually come and learn. We can learn on the go as we're moving, listening in. So thank you for joining us. So we're going to get started. It's now 10:05, and I want to welcome each and every one of you. This Small Business Technical Assistance Community Navigator Program is a partnership between the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce and the SBA. It is funded as part of the American Rescue Act. And with that American Rescue Act, they wanted to make sure that small businesses throughout America had the support system they need in order to really develop themselves. And the focus is on small businesses that are low to moderate income, veterans, women, socioeconomically disadvantaged individuals, and it's comprised of a hub. And that hub is at FIU Small Business Development Center. And they're composed of a few spokes that are all across Miami-Dade County, from branches to Ascendus to Prospera, the Economic Development EDC of South Dade, Startup FIU, and a few others. We provide comprehensive support for small business owners and are able to give you one-on-one small business technical assistance. This is part of our program. So we not only do we do these workshops, we provide one-on-one small business technical assistance to implement what you will learn today. And over the course of the past, I'll talk about the technical assistance afterwards. So we're gonna get our speaker coming on first. But over the course of the past year, you want to go back to our speaker slide, that'll be perfect. Over the course of the past 2 years, we started last year with a workshop series on the ABCs of business. We wanted to focus on what you need to do to get the basics of business together. You can check out those webinar recordings that we had last year on our webpage, www.m-dcc.org/webinar recordings. And you'll be able to look at those. We talked about starting your business, doing your business plan, getting your finances together, all the basics. This year, we want to focus on the next level of business. So we've had workshops over the course of the past few months on hiring your first employee, making sure that your business is bundleable, getting your QuickBooks together, all the things you need to take your business to the next level. And today we are excited to have a longtime partner in the community talk about unlocking the power of business credit. Mr. Andre Coakley, founder of Credit 360 Credit Repair. He's been over 20 years been teaching people about personal and business credit. He's one of those pillars in our community that make sure that people are aware about the opportunities of how to utilize business credit and make sure that their business is in a position to access credit. Because being able to do that gives you an opportunity to expand using other people's funds. So today we want to take the time to dive deep into that, and we're happy to have him as our expert. So I want to welcome our member of the chamber, Mr. Andre Coakley. You got the floor, brother.
Thank you, Matthew, and I appreciate the chamber for inviting me to this awesome event. And let me just see if I can share my screen real quick. And is my screen available? Can you guys see it? Just want to make sure.
Yes, we can. We see the superpower there.
Well, good morning. As I stated before, I'm Andre Coakley, president of Credit 360. And today what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take the actual approach of getting the foundational aspects of understanding your business credit profile and what you can do to set your business up for sustainability. Now, just to kind of paint the environment that we're in right now financially is kind of, how can I say, it's not conducive to small business owners for the simple fact that banks and lenders are a little bit stagnant with getting access to funds because of the economic climate that we're in. So what we want to do today is we want to do everything that we can to help try to position yourself to get access to those funds, but also realize that credit is also a tool of survival it's not going to be the lifeline of your business. If you don't have a viable business model, getting access to credit does not necessarily help your business. It can actually wind up drowning your business, but we'll get into that a little bit deeper, all right? So, as I said before, I own a credit repair company down here in the South Florida area. Credit 360, we've been in existence from 2012. My background is coming from mortgages and real estate. My first job was working as a mortgage processor for my father's mortgage company. And then that's how I got into the scope of just even looking at credit reports and understanding credit from that particular perspective. Just a little shameless plug here. I am author of a book, An Attempt to Repair America's Broken Credit System. You can find it on Amazon if you want to dig deeper into your personal credit journeys. This has nothing to do with business credit, but as we'll discuss a little bit later, your personal credit is most definitely tied to your business credit profile, okay? All right, so why are your business credit scores important? Business credit scores are important because it's pretty much giving lenders, creditors, and actual vendors the aspect, is your business trustworthy enough to do business with from a financial standpoint. I know when I first started my business as a mortgage broker, I owned a mortgage company. Back in 08 and 09, when the mortgage meltdown took place, I had a copy machine that was in my business name that I personally guaranteed. Roughly about 5 years later, after the business shut down and was defunct because of the whole mortgage crisis, I had a actual process server knock on my door and serve me because I actually had a copy machine that I didn't pay for. And I'm like, well, this is in the business name. What's going on? Why am I being penalized for something in the business that I shut down? However, it's because I personally guaranteed that loan. And I say that to say that a lot of times we don't understand what we're getting ourselves into when it comes into this small business credit space. We all understand, I'm not going to say we all understand, but a lot of us deal with the personal credit on a daily basis. But are we necessarily dealing with the business credit on a daily basis? And do we understand how to navigate through this dismal process? All right. So the first aspect, what's the difference between personal scores and credit scores? And we're going to kind of break that down because I think that's going to be the baseline for us kind of understanding where we need to take our personal credit in order to be able to build that business credit. All right, so personal versus business credit. Business credit reports to actually 3 different bureaus or 3 different how you can say it, data aggregators, all right? That's going to be Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. There's also FICO has a version of a credit score, your liquid score, which we'll discuss as well. But then also on the personal side, you have Equifax, Experian, FICO, and TransUnion. Now, FICO is normally not considered a bureau. It's an actual data algorithm. These algorithms help produce risk scores. And any bank or lender wants to know how risky is it doing business with you. So that's what that scores are actually going to wind up interpreting. Now, there's different factors that wind up coming with your business credit than your personal credit. The factors that are considered on your business credit are payment history, length of credit history, debt and debt management, industry type, company size, and age. However, on your personal credit, it's only broken down to 5 categories: payment history, credit utilization, length of credit, actually types of credit, and actually new credit or inquiries, okay? So we want to kind of understand that they kind of work hand in hand, but they're actually in totally 2 different spectrums, all right? Now the score range, we're talking about business credit. Business credit has actually 8 different profiles. Your personal credit has 1 profile that's given by 3 different bureaus, all right? So understanding that as well is going to be very kind of important because your average business credit score is going to go from a 1 to a 100 score. However, there are different models that have different scoring ranges, which again, we'll go into that a little bit later. However, your personal credit goes from a 300 to an 850. 300 to 850 is your personal credit scores. And those personal credit scores are derived of multiple different moving components, the same as your business credit. Now with business credit, it actually goes into a little bit more depth. It's going to have your public filing data, and anybody who searches your business can look at your business credit profile. They don't necessarily need to have what we call permissible purpose. Permissible purpose is when someone has permission to run your reports. With business credit, as long as I have your name and your business address, I can actually get access to that information. It's going to have your company information, business registration details, credit account details, industry type, government activity, and background on the business. However, our personal credit scores only have personal information, public data, credit references, and inquiries, okay? Now, as we stated before, there are 8 credit scales or scoring scales for your business. Dun & Bradstreet has 3 different models. They have the paydex score, they have a commercial credit score, and they have a financial stress score. All 3 of these scores are looking at your business from a different perspective. It's like if I was looking at a vehicle, some people like the vehicle for the appearance, how it looks. Some people like a vehicle for the engine, and some people like the vehicle for its interior. We all are looking at the same vehicle, but we're looking at it from 3 different perspectives. This is what's happening when they're looking at your paydex score, your credit, your commercial credit score, and your financial stress score. And as we look at these scores, all 3 of these scores are on the Dun & Bradstreet Bureau. However, they all have 3 different scoring platforms. Your paydex is going to go from a 0 to 100. Your commercial credit score is going to go from a 101 to a 670, and your financial credit score or financial stress score is going to go from a 1001 to 1875. So when you're hearing these different scores out there, you also have to understand, okay, which version of the credit score are they looking at? All right. Experian. Now you have Experian on a personal side, but you have Experian business. So same company, but they're totally 2 different platforms. So Experian business has an IntelliScore. That IntelliScore ranks from a 0 to a 100. We have an Equifax score. Your Equifax has a payment index. Your payment index goes from a 0 to 100. Your business credit risk scores goes from a 101 to a 992. Your business failure score goes from a 1,000 to a 1,880. And keep in mind, the last score that we have is a FICO score, which kind of really got new into the realm. Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax, those are some of the pioneers in the game. And actually, Dun & Bradstreet is going to be the most widely used bureau, then Experian, then Equifax. Why is that important? Because if you have a very low Equifax business credit score, it might not make sense to apply for a lender or a creditor who's going to be looking at that particular bureau. So whenever you're trying to apply for credit, you want to kind of find out, okay, which one of your stress scores or indicator scores are the highest, but also try to find a credit or a creditor or lender who's looking at that specific bureau. That way you can try to maximize the funds that you're trying to get. Now, the liquid credit score, which we might call the SBSS score, is normally used by SBA. Now, this particular scoring algorithm takes in consideration not only your business credit practices, but your personal practices and your personal credit life, and it actually puts a conglomerate of a credit score, all right? So that's just to kind of give you a basic background of the credit scores and to realize there's not only one score. A lot of times we discuss the paydex score, but the paydex score is just the most widely used score. It's not the only score that's out there. All right, so let's talk about it. What's a good business credit score? As we stated before, the paydex score goes from a 0 to 100. However, anything that we're looking at that's 80 and above is considered an A+ or a good credit score. When we're talking about the Intella score from Experian, a good score on that particular platform goes from 0 to 100, but we're looking for at least a 76 score or higher to say that you're in a fundable or loanable credible state. And from an Equifax business credit report standpoint, a 570 is considered a good credit score. And remember, this platform goes from a 101 to a 992. And then we have FICO's small business credit score, which we consider a good credit score on that platform is a 140, and that goes from a 0 to 300. Now, most of us know about personal credit. Personal credit scores go from 850 to 300. What we're normally dealing with when we're talking about the 5 components of credit: payment history, utilization, length of credit, types of credit, and new credit. Those 5 categories equal up 550 points. And that's how we derive with our personal credit score. So as we see, you know, they're kind of similar in scoring, but however, business credit has a whole lot more different moving parts than that personal credit aspect of it. All right. So as we stated before, when it comes to your business credit profile, Anybody with your business name and business address can get access to your business credit profile. And that's kind of scary because people can do their due diligence on you before they even speak to you. I can go, I'm in the office plaza, I can go look at my neighbor's business credit profile just by having the name of the business and actually the address. So keep in mind, if we are doing this from a general standpoint, please don't think lenders and creditors aren't doing it from their particular standpoint. They're doing it from a risk standpoint. And who would that include? Those include banks, auto dealers, mortgage brokers, and people who are licensed to lend money. Long story short, your business information is public. And what's going to be on that public profile? The amounts of trade lines, which we consider payment experiences, all right? Your credit scores, your high credit limits, past payment performance, employees, and revenue, all right? So let's just kind of keep that in mind. Now, as I stated before, and I gave you guys a little story about how I actually personally guaranteed for my copy machine back in the year of 2000, the business closed in 2008, and in 2013, I was being sued because I didn't actually pay for this actual copier. And it happens to a lot of business owners because a lot of times when we're signing the documentation, we're not really reading the fine print and understanding that we are personally guaranteeing our personal credit in the case that this business credit loan goes in default or goes in default. So what's a personal guarantee? A personal guarantee is making a guarantee that putting yourself and your assets on the hook by acting as a loan cosigner. If the business dissolves, you will be responsible for repayment. Creditors will go after you personally in the event that your business fails to repay the loan. So pretty much generally, anytime you're putting your social security number on, well, hold on, let me back up. Because of the Patriot Act, lenders are required to get personal information on the business owner before they give extensions to credit. But majority of the time when you're filling out some type of application, if they're asking for your personal social security number, they're most likely going to run that business credit profile. The reason why they're going to run that business credit profile, because they want to get an idea of how this business owner operates his business. And the example I like to give, if I was getting ready to take a cruise from Miami to the Turks and Caicos, do I want that cruise ship to pass inspection? I most definitely want the cruise ship to pass inspection. However, I want the captain who's navigating this vessel to pass inspection as well, because if he has poor tendencies in his personal life, this can affect all the passengers of this vessel. Same thing that happens from a business or lending standpoint. These creditors want to make sure that you are solvent in your personal life, try to determine if the personal mistakes that you're making in your personal life are going to develop into your business life. All right, so let's just kind of keep that in mind. All right, so your business credit score is pretty much a summary, a quick summary of how your business pays their bills. A lot of times we hear about vendor lines of credit, and we also hear about commercial credit. Vendor lines of credit are going to be those starter accounts. Now, I suggest everybody who's on this Zoom call, if you don't have any idea if you have a business credit profile or not, the first thing you need to do, once we get off this Zoom call, you need to actually go to your computer, put in the search bar, www.dnb.com, DNB for Dun & Bradstreet. And there's going to be a little search bar at the top of that actual website. In that search bar, if you put your business name, you will see if you have a business credit profile. Now, one of the issues when it comes to business credit profiles, I have business owners who come to me for business credit and they're like, Andre, I don't have a business credit profile. I've never done anything. However, when we look at the business profile, we actually see they do have a business profile. And then I have the contrary to it as well. I have business owners who come to me like, hey, Andre, I want to build my business credit. However, I don't think I have a profile, but I'm not too sure how good it is. When we look at the profile, we'll log in, we'll look at it, and there might be negative information on that profile. So the good thing about your business credit profile, you can dispute that information the way you can with your actual personal credit. Now, personal credit has consumer area laws, which your personal credit profiles are a whole lot more, how can I say it, restricted Then your business credit. I like to say that business credit profiles the wild, wild west. There are no consumerary laws when it comes to business credit. Your business credit creditor or issuers don't have to report to anybody. So because of that, they report however they want to report. But because of that, that means it can be a mess because they're not necessarily having to have anybody oversee how they actually report this information. However, as I stated before, if there's negative information on these profiles, you can actually go in and dispute that as well. All right. So let's talk about the money side. We're all trying to establish your personal and business credit to get access to funds. However, there are different types of loans out there, and depending on what you need that money for is the type of loan you should be trying to access. All right. So there's small business type of loans, right? The major loan that you can get, or the loan that is probably going to provide you with the best terms, is going to be an SBA loan. An SBA loan is funded through small business lenders and guaranteed by the government. The reason why it's guaranteed by the government is the reason why these lenders and creditors can give you more favorable terms, because it's guaranteed, which means that if you meet a particular criteria for approval and going through that process, that if you go in default or defunct, the actual government will actually guarantee the payment of that loan in that case. So it's a little bit less risky for a creditor or a lender to give you an SBA loan. However, the underwriting guidelines are going to be more stringent. Traditional loans, which are funded by banks and financial institutions, that's the loan that most of us go for. Most of us walk into our local bank. We say, hey, we've been in business for X amount of years. I would like a loan, and that's what we get, a traditional loan. Now, a traditional loan is normally going to have a moderate interest rate because there's profit margin driven into that particular loan. A bank is giving you this money to make money. So keep in mind, whenever you're actually getting access to funds, it's going to be very important to make sure that you have a use for those funds. Getting access to money that's not necessarily not needed, that's coming in a loan type, can be detrimental. And we have business lines of credit, which I mostly suggest most of my business clients to try to get access to lines of credit versus a loan. All right. So what's the difference? A loan, I go into my bank, I need $100,000. Well, let me back up. I go to my bank and I need $20,000. I apply for a loan and my lender says, congratulations, Andre. I know you needed 20,000, but you've been approved for 100,000. Now, don't get me wrong, in some capacities that might be a good thing, but in a lot of capacities I've seen where that's been a negative thing, because if I only need access to 20, but they gave me $100,000 in the loan, that means they just gave me a check for 100 grand. That means there's $80,000 worth of additional funds out there that I'm paying interest on, that if I'm not using it, I'm actually draining my business at that point, not blessing my business. Okay. So a loan can be very detrimental if there's an overage of funds that you're not using, because this money's, that additional $80,000 is going to be sitting in the bank account, and I'm paying interest on that money that's not providing any type of profit margin for me. So the profit that I might be making on the $20,000 is being absorbed by the additional interest I'm paying on the $80,000 that I'm not using. And that can actually be what we call a mute standpoint, right? You're not gaining. However, with a line of credit, if I go into my local bank and I say, hey, you know what? I need $20,000 to actually grow and expand my business, but they give me a line of credit of $100,000, I'm going to probably suggest that you would take the $100,000 line of credit, because you're only going to be paying interest on the money that you use. So for example, that bank's going to give me that line of credit for 100. I only use the 20 grand that I need for the access of my business. However, that other $80,000 that's sitting there, I'm not paying interest on that money because it hasn't been used or drawn on. Okay. So you're only going to pay on the actual funds that you're using at that particular point. Now that we have a loan and a line of credit understood, now there's also another step beyond that. There's also secured and unsecured loan. Ideally, you most likely want to do an unsecured loan. An unsecured loan means that loan is not collateralized. It being not collateralized means if that loan were to go into a delinquent state, that there is nothing for you to give up or forgive, for the simple fact that the loan was actually not paid. Now, if we go to the contrary of that, we have an unsecured loan, right? An unsecured loan means that if I were to actually, I'm sorry, secure or unsecured loan, if I were to get access to those funds, it's not secured by anything. If I were to go default on that loan, at the end of the day, it's just going to affect my credit. It's not being collateralized. Now, in some cases, it might be beneficial to collateralize a loan because collateralizing it is going to mitigate the risk for the lender. The more minimal the risk, the better terms and financing you might receive. So there have been times as well where I might have had a business credit client who might have had collateral, and depending on the type of loan that they've had that they're trying to obtain, we might try to ask them to pretty much use that collateral as security, all right? And again, we're only doing that for favorable terms, and you have to be very careful with that, all right? Long story short. So what we're going to get into now, we're going to talk about the 10 types of small business financing. And I think this is very important because a lot of times I have clients, they need a certain amount of money or they need it in a certain way, but don't know how to actually gain it or get access to it. So one of the easiest ways or quickest ways to get access to money, the quickest way is going to be business credit cards. All right. So with a business credit card, you're going to need anywhere between a 670 to a 700 credit score to get favorable terms. Don't get me wrong. You can possibly get access to credit with lower scores. However, this is the sweet spot. This is normally where you want to be at. All right. Now with business credit cards, you don't have to be in business for a very long time. You only have to be in business anywhere from 0 to 12 months or even longer. However, in this case, they're most likely going to be basing the loan off of your personal credit scores. So if you have very weak personal credit and your business just opened a month ago and you're trying to get access to these funds, that can be a reason for denial. All right. However, when we're talking about your minimum income or minimum revenue, they're going to take your income at this particular point from your personal credit scores. All right. I mean, from your personal credit. And that's what's going to be usually considered. So they're going to take your income along with the business credit, kind of morph it in, and that's how they're going to kind of determine approval rating. All right. The next type of financing is crowdfunding. Now, this is normally for larger entities who are trying to actually gain or what we might call equity or rewards based. This is a lot of times where we see on the Shark Tank, where we see an investor who is pretty much going to crowdfund the business. But one of the issues with crowdfunding is you're normally giving ownership to the business. You're selling equity, all right? It's not just capital. A lot of times you're giving this particular investor an equity stake in your business. Now, to small businesses, anytime you're trying to gain access to funds, the last thing you want to give an investor is equity to your business, because equity is giving them ownership. And ownership means perpetual income, perpetual. So just be very mindful of that. Now, when you're talking about crowdfunding, you don't need as much credit, a 620 to 640 credit score. The business normally needs to be operational for at least a year. However, the minimum revenue, $50,000 worth of debt, equity and rewards are not required. However, when it comes to crowdfunding, substantially marketing efforts are required. You have to get the business out there. So again, that can be actually what we consider the downside of it. Equipment financing. Equipment financing, very low credit scores. However, equipment financing is going to be one of those collateralized loans. If you don't pay the loan, they can possibly repossess the equipment. All right. However, again, this can be something that for startups, you can be in business from 0 to 24 months. The revenue that they normally want to see is anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000. Keep in mind, because if you're buying equipment financing is going to be normally for a duration of time, a 5-year loan, 10-year loan, 20-year loan. So they most definitely want to make sure that you have at least some decent revenue coming in before they actually make that commitment for a duration of time. And however, when you actually get equipment financing, most likely a down payment is going to be required. Invoice and receivables, you can have a very low credit score with this, anywhere between a 550 to a 620, or even a higher credit score. However, time in business, anywhere between 3 months to 24 months. The minimum revenue that's normally required is anywhere between $25,000 to $180,000. Now, when I put these caps of $180,000, trust me, it can go more than those amounts. But keep in mind, you want to find the right loan that's the right fit for what you're trying to do. I don't want to really do invoice financing for me buying equipment, right? It might not be the ideal type of loan for what I'm trying to serve at that particular moment. And of course, what I always suggest, a line of credit. A line of credit, you will need a credit score anywhere between a 600 to a 680. Time in business, 2 months to 36 months. However, income could be anywhere between 25 to 180 grand, all right? And then we have a micro loan, which is a 620 to 680 credit score, 0 to 24 months. And again, the income is going to be 25 to 50 grand, all right? However, you may be more flexible with the credit requirements. SBA loans. SBA loans, as I stated before, are normally going to give you the most attractive interest rates. However, your SBA requirement underwriting process is going to look at your SBSS score or your liquid FICO credit score. And they're looking at a score from 140 to 600, and then your personal aspect anywhere between a 640 to a 680. Time in business anywhere between 1 to 5 years. Minimum revenue is roughly going to be 50,000. However, it's going to be a very lengthy underwriting process. An SBA loan can actually, even though it's the best financing, can easily take a few months worth of underwriting process. So you have to factor that into your need of money. And that's a very big deal because a lot of times we need money quickly, but we want it at the best interest rate, but we don't have 3 or 4 months to actually try to apply for those funds. A term loan is going to be a very quick loan. Credit scores are not very needed on this particular type of loan. A 580, a 550 to a 775. Length in business, 12 months, and anywhere between 42 to 180,000. Moderate underwriting process, and then vendor terms. Vendor loans are 30-day loans or 30-day lines of credit. You might hear of Uline, Granger. These are vendor lines of credit where they give you access to their services or goods, but they want to be paid back in a 30-day term, okay? Now, the second part of this cheat sheet is what they offer, okay? So again, a small business credit. Now, this is kind of understanding based off of how much money you need, how quickly it takes, and what you need to do to get access to it. So business credit cards, right? A business credit card, you can get one anywhere between $500 to $50,000. Time to fund, you can possibly get a business credit card if you have decent business credit and decent personal credit within hours, all right? However, the repayment term is monthly, but the interest rates vary anywhere between 11 to 23% or even higher, okay? And while we're talking about business credit cards, not even business and personal credit card, all your credit cards are tied to a market. It floats with the market. So let's say hypothetically 5 years ago, interest rates on a particular market were at 10%. And I got this actual credit card at that time at 10%. But let's say now, 5 years later, rates have trickled up to 15%. That 10% credit card that I got 5 years ago is not 10% today. It's at a 15% interest rate. So it's very important to actually pay your debt down as quickly as possible because it's floating with the market. Not only your business credit cards, but your personal credit cards. If I had $30,000 worth of debt, right, and I've been floating that debt for the last 3 years at a 10% interest rate, now that interest rate on that same debt is 15%. So less of my payment is going towards principal and more is going towards interest. I like to say in today's time, the cost of breathing has gone up. Why do you say that, Andre? The price of housing has gone up, which is shelter, a basic necessity. The price of food has gone up, which basic necessity. The price of energy has gone up, basic necessity. The price of fuel has gone up, basic necessity. So what I'm trying to say is we don't realize is that our funds are shrinking on a daily basis. And when we're talking about financial suffocation, it's a slow suffocating process. It just doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of times we don't realize that things that we were doing 2 or 3 years ago, we had to cut back. And the reason why we're cutting back is because more of our funds are going towards survival. All right. I'm off a soapbox. I just wanted to kind of give you guys that little tidbit. All right. So business and merchant cash advances are going anywhere from between $200 to $250,000. You can get those funds in hours or days, but you pay these actual cash advances back on what we call a daily or weekly payment basis. So they calculate the payment on a daily, which means every day when you do a cash advance or you have a merchant account, let's say I have a merchant account, I bring in funds of 10 grand on a weekly basis, they're going to pull their payment off of that 10 grand on a weekly basis. I don't send my payments in monthly, okay? However, if we look at the interest rates for a cash advance loan, it goes anywhere between 15% to 150%. I can't tell you how many times I see business owners actually take merchant cash advances and it winds up drowning their business, not blessing their business, okay? So be very mindful. And the main reason why they're drowning their business is a lot of times they're not paying attention to the interest rate, or they're not looking at how the repayment term is a weekly payment term, not a monthly payment term. As we talked about crowdfunding and debt and available credit, you can go anywhere between $500,000 up to $500,000, $1 million with rewards. However, the time to fund might be weeks or months. And a lot of times you're going to give debt or equity to this particular program. Again, we want to stay away from giving people equity to your business. Please do not give people equity to your business unless they are really bringing something, they're retooling your business with what they can bring to it, right? Their particular component can actually wind up inflating the business. Therefore, it might be worth to have them getting some equity, but in most cases, please do not sell equity in your brand, all right? The next type of financing is equipment financing or leasing. That goes anywhere between $5,000 to $5 million. You can actually get this funding in days or weeks. The repayment is monthly, right? And the interest rates go anywhere between 5 to 30%. Now keep in mind, if you're borrowing money at 30%, you need to be almost making 60% on your profit margin. Because a lot of times we're borrowing money, but that 30% interest rate is the profit margin that we're getting off of our goods and services. And even though we made the sale, we broke even at the end of the day. I'm talking over y'all head. Y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me. All right. So that's that. All right. Invoices and receivables up to $5 million. You can get those funds in hours. It's paid back on the weekly term, right? However, the interest rate can go anywhere between 10 to 75%. Lines of credit, 1,000 to 500, $500,000. You can get these funds within hours or days. However, the repayment term is weekly. A microloan, anywhere between $50,000 to $50,000. The time to fund is 1 to 3 months. However, the repayment term is normally on a monthly basis, and the interest rates go from 8 to 21%. And again, this is the reason why I kind of want to give you guys an idea of how important it is to possibly position yourself for an SBA loan. If you're trying to get any type of long-term financing, SBA is going to be the way to go, right? So they go all the way from $0 to $5 million. You can get funded within weeks or months. As I said, it can be I've never seen an SBA loan of value being underwritten in a week. It normally might take a few weeks or a few months, or probably a few months, depending on what's required, depending if you have all your I's dotted and T's crossed. However, it's paid back on a monthly term, but normally the repayment is going to either be 5 to 25 years. And the interest rates are going to be the most attractive interest rates of all of the types of financing that we discussed. That's going to be anywhere between 4 to 13%. All right. And then we have term loans, 0 to $1 million, funded in days or weeks. The repayment is in weekly, or the actual payment cost or APR is anywhere between 8 to 30%. And of course, we have vendor terms, $50 to $50,000. And vendor lines of credit are going to be the foundational starting point for you to build your business credit. If you don't have access to business credit, I'm going to try to tell you to actually get an account with Uline, get a line with Granger. There's an account that we use called Shirtsy. There's different vendors out there that will give you access to what we call vendor credit, which is going to be that starting point to getting access to credit. All right, few things. What can you do? Now, I would advise you guys who are startups, who are just trying to get into the credit space, to take pictures of these next few slides, because this is going to help you set up your business in order to be able to be fundable or credible. Business name plays a very big role. There are certain industries that are considered, how can you say it, red line, okay? I happen to be in one of those industries. The legal name of my business is Credit 360 Inc. However, I am a credit repair business. And the issue with that is if I were to make the legal name of my business Credit 360 Credit Repair, a lot of creditors or a lot of lenders would not give us access to money because they don't want to deal with a credit repair company. A credit repair company can be considered the enemy of a bank. Why is that? Because we help people improve their credit who might not be creditworthy. So we can actually be kind of bamboozling this lender or bank by actually repairing somebody's credit who doesn't really meet that criteria. So a lot of times they don't want to do business with a credit repair company. Some other companies might be a strip club, a casino, a gun store, right? These are what we consider high-risk industries, and those high-risk industries can kind of be a reason why you don't get access to funds. Your business address. A lot of us might be home-based businesses. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a home-based business. However, being a home-based business might be an issue from a standpoint of getting access to funds because a bank or lender would rather give a business that has a brick and mortar location access to funds because it's easier to track. It's a lot more difficult to kind of chase somebody down from an individual residential address than it is from a commercial address. And just psychologically, we feel that a business that has a commercial address is a little bit more functional. Well, I'm not gonna say we, lenders and creditors feel a business that has a physical address is more functional than one that has a residential address, okay? However, you can get a virtual address through companies like, I had a mental block. iPostal and Regis, okay? Your business phone number, okay? So a lot of us are startups. There's nothing wrong with having a mobile device for your business line. However, these creditors and lenders are doing a search on that number to see if is it tied to a landline or is it tied to a mobile device. Again, from a risk standpoint, a business that's being ran off a mobile device is a little bit more risky than someone considered to have a brick and mortar with an actual hard line going into that brick and mortar. All right, so ideally, we're gonna ask you to try to get some type of business line that might be pushed to your cell phone, but just don't be out there giving your cell phone number as your business number. And a reason why also is it can be a little bit unprofessional. If you're giving your personal cell phone number as your business number and a bank or lender is calling to give you access to funds and you answer the phone, hello, versus saying, hello, this is Andre. Thank you for calling Credit 360. How may I help you? That can be an indicator as well. All right. Business facts. I'm not going to say this is that much needed in today's time. Back in the day, when I originally got into building business credit, a business facts number was something that creditors and lenders looked at for the simple fact they want to make sure that you are a true bona fide business. However, in today's time, because of emailing, it's not necessarily required. But again, if you do need to give some business facts, it can help you, and also list that number in 411 as well, okay? Professional website. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a professional website. You need to have a decent website or what we consider a landing page. A landing page is just a one-page site that pretty much explains your business. Why do you do that? Because creditors are going to be searching to make sure that it's a viable business. If they can't find your business, that means your customers can't find your business, and that can be considered a risk, okay? However, you can get an email and you can get a website through GoDaddy for roughly about 12 to 20 bucks a month. Now, a lot of us are going around here having a Gmail business email. There's nothing wrong with that. However, your creditor or lender might look a little side eye at that when it comes to giving access to funds. Again, they would rather give somebody with a domain name access to funds than someone who's using a Gmail, Hotmail, or Yahoo account. Again, they're trying to take your business in its present form and try to predict how solvent it's going to be in the future, okay? And of course, your business license. If you're not property licensed, that can be a reason why you're denied for actual credit. And a lot of people don't know this, your home ownership. Making sure that you state that you're a homeowner when you're filling out a business credit application. Sometimes we'll ask, are you a homeowner? Do you own your home? What's your monthly rent? What's your monthly exposure? Let them know that you're actually a homeowner because it shows maturity and responsibility. I had the client the other day, she was like, well, every time I fill out the application, I put that I wasn't a homeowner because I thought that they would try to actually seize my house or put a lien on my house. And it was the direct opposite. I'm like, no, you need to let them know you are a homeowner. But you have to be careful with actually guaranteeing that collateral when you're getting those particular loans. But there's nothing wrong with letting them know that you're a homeowner. It's going to show that you're a little bit more stable. All right. And again, assets and collateral, that can be a reason why you can actually get more favorable terms. I know some businesses have multiple locations. They have multiple types of equipment, and we put together what we call blanket loans, where we've blanketed those equipments as collateral to get access to those funds to get more favorable terms. All right, time in business, I don't probably need to explain that. Of course, the longer you're in business, the more trustworthy you are. Stable revenue, that's going to be very important. They're going to be looking at what we call your 90-day bank balances. Most banks are looking at what your revenue is for the last 90 days. That's how they're determining how solvent the business is. So if you know we're getting ready to get access to funds, it might make sense to make sure that any dollar that you're getting for your business, that you're making sure that it's hitting that business bank account so it can be actually calculated when they're looking at for your revenue. All right. What's your average revenue over the last 90 days? That's what most banks are looking at. And you have some actual lending criteria where they'll be looking at your deposits, strictly deposits. They're not looking at how much money is going out. They're looking at how much money is going in. All right. And of course, your business tax returns and profits, right? A business that's showing declining profits as they're going through the process of asking for funds can be a reason for denial. You might have a great need for it, but the bank or lender might feel that this business is sinking, and nobody puts a commodity in something that's sinking because they feel that that commodity is also going to sink along with the ship. All right. And I'm done, y'all. However, if you guys want a business credit checklist, right, to actually understand what you need to do to pretty much prepare and situate your business for success, you can actually type the word credit 360 to the number 38470. So if you go to your phone, you actually type in the number 38470, and then in the actual chat section, you're going to put the word credit 360, and then we'll email you this business credit checklist, which also breaks down FICO scores and Paydex scores, just to kind of give you guys a little bit more foundational aspect of it. However, if you guys have any questions or concerns, I have an open phone policy. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm actually going to see if I can get a registry of the individuals who are on this particular Zoom and see if somebody from my team can reach out to you to see if you have any questions or concerns. We can possibly set up a credit consultation to assist you guys however need be. I'm not sure if there's any questions or concerns in the chat section.
All right, man. I think that was one of the most informative workshops we have ever had, man. Thank you very much, Brother Coley. Make sure y'all put it in the chat. I see a lot of people commenting, dropping diamonds, giving rounds of applause. Thank you for taking the time to really share. This is your opportunity now for y'all that are on to ask questions. Put it into the chat. My colleague on here, Gina Ortello, who's our program manager, should help us to manage some of these questions that you have. If you can put it in the Q&A box, that would be great so that we can see them. Please put those questions in the chat. We have a lot of comments saying thank you for the presentation. Excellent presentation. Dropping keys, dropping diamonds. Brother Coakley, I think you got another crew added to your fan squad, man. We really appreciate the work that you are putting in. So one of the very first questions that I see on here right now is that as someone who's starting new with zero personal and business credit, I'm a bit overwhelmed where to start to build credit. It's a credit union bank, community bank, start an LLC and build business credit first rather than personal. Is self.inc reliable? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so ideally, I'm going to tell you to, at least get your personal credit profile started. That's going to be your general lifeline, right? Even if the business is not actually operational, you're still going to be operational as an individual. And so that's going to be probably the first step. However, the second step of that is to actually get the business incorporated, right? Without having any type of designation to the business, no bank or lender is going to give access to those funds. So that's probably going to be the first two steps. And what we can possibly do, if you drop your information in the chat, I'll actually, or a direct message to me, I'll try to reach out to you so we can actually talk one-on-one, kind of get an idea of where you are and what needs to be done at that standpoint.
Perfect, perfect. Next, what is the best way if you already have a website, phone, Addy to establish business credit?
The first thing I would tell you to do is possibly go to Dun & Bradstreet, first of all. See if you have a business credit profile, because you could have a profile established and the profile could already have positive information on it, or it can already have negative information. So if you're applying and it has negative information, that means you're going to be denied. What I would suggest is the first thing you do, go to that profile, see if you can clean it up, see if there's anything you can possibly add to it. But being a startup and being a start, it's kind of difficult to know where to start, because you might not have all the pieces of the puzzle together. So you're going to have to kind of slowly put it together. It's not necessarily the end of the world, but it can be a little bit dismal. I can't lie to you on that side of it.
Awesome. All right, next question. Got some questions on here. Make sure y'all continue to put them in the chat. We are on, actually, we don't got that much time. All right, so we're gonna take these two questions. To get a loan for real estate, can we obtain a line of credit?
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
It's anonymous. Says to get a loan for real estate, can we obtain a line of credit?
You can get a line of credit for a real estate loan, but there could be, positive aspects to that, but negative, right? A line of credit, first of all, at that particular point, it's not going to be collateralized. So in some cases, if you're trying to actually buy real estate, I'm probably going to suggest you use the SBA route, because that's going to give you more favorable terms and it's going to stretch that loan out for a longer period. A line of credit could be a 10-year term versus a mortgage can be a 30-year term, which is now going to mitigate that payment over a longer period of time, therefore make it more affordable for the actual end user.
Awesome. And last question, does using a Google number affect our business profile?
It does, right? It actually does. They are doing a search and a record search on that particular number. And when you actually, and there's certain platforms, if I put in your phone number, it's going to tell me whether it's a mobile device or a landline, right? If it's a mobile device, again, that's going to be a red flag. Why? Because the scammers use mobile devices. Ain't nobody using like their real brick and mortar phone numbers and addresses to scam somebody. So again, they're trying to do all this to mitigate risk as much as possible.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Brother Coakley, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your morning to really share with these small business owners here in Miami-Dade County on how to fix their business credit and really unlock the power of business credit. We really appreciate your work. I think you've already have a phone number in the chat. Someone wants you to reach out to them. So make sure you check that in the chat. For those who have more questions, and to really take this information and to get started, if you need to get your back end together, if you need time to really make sure you have your business infrastructure together, that is what we do. We do these workshops to help you understand that there is help for you. One of the biggest challenges we have with small businesses throughout Miami-Dade County is that we have all these resources, these grants, these loans, these free, no-cost technical assistance program to help them get together, and they don't take advantage of it. Make sure you click the link. It's in the chat, m-dcc.org/technical assistance, and schedule a time to meet with us. It's completely free and open as long as you have a business address in Miami-Dade County. And we will do an intake. We'll find out what you need. We're the people you can go to when you know you may not be doing right or you haven't been doing things as well. You can reach out to us and we can help you get from point A to point B. We can help you clean it up. So schedule those calls so you can be in a position to take advantage of these resources. This technical assistance workshop is part of a larger workshops that we do. And you can go to our webinar section to find all these prior workshops and many, many more topics. We have these at least once a month, so they'll be coming up. Our next one will be on how to read a contract, and that is in partnership with Jackson Health. I think that's June 22nd. So make sure you go to our webpage and you can sign up and come into our newsletter. Once you schedule a time with us as a technical assistant, you will get these updates. So the best way to take full advantage of the resources is to reach out and schedule an appointment via our website. So if you need any assistance, you have our direct contact information there. Myself, Matthew Pygott, Director of Small Business and Membership Services with the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, and also Gina Ortella, who is our Small Business Navigator Program Manager. Reach out, give us a call, send us an email, but I say the best way is to schedule that appointment. Our calendars get booked up pretty quickly. I'm booked all the way through June. So make sure you get in as soon as possible. There's a grant opportunity with Miami Open for Business Foundation, where we are specifically contracted to help businesses located in Miami Gardens and also Opa-locka. So if you're registered on SunBiz, we can give personalized help and insider tips on how to make sure you submit the best application for the Miami Open for Business grant loan opportunity. It is the best loan that you can access right now. So if you can, I strongly encourage you to take the time to do that. We also have, go ahead. All right, I think that may have been a mistake. All right, so we have a few upcoming events. If you would like to meet us in person, we have in person, we have a first Thursday's membership breakfast and last Thursday networking event. Our upcoming networking event is May 20th at the Urban. And also we have a small business meetup that happens every single Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Many times we bring in guest speakers, and this upcoming guest speaker will be the Miami-Dade County Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces. They specifically reached out to us in our community because they are having a program where they're providing one-year contracts for vendors to vend at Miami-Dade parks. So if you have a business that can potentially offer services and you want to vend at the parks, make sure you join our small business meetup coming up this Tuesday so that you can learn directly from directors to procurement managers, compliance officers on what you need to do to put your business in position to take advantage of those opportunities. So I think we have a few more events, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, mistaken. We have our Little Black Dress in Pearls, which is one of our 4 major annual events a year. It's basically the who's who of women in business and government. It is sponsored and run by our Women's Business Council, which is a committee within the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. And it's July 15th at 11 a.m. So we look forward for you to join us. And as I said, always reach out to us, the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, and also the Small Business Navigator. With that, I want to again thank Mr. Coakley for really dropping such jewels on us. We really appreciate you and your service, and we look forward to all of you. Make sure y'all save the chat. Hit those 3 dots to save the chat. Oh, and we get to see Gina. Hey, Gina. Gina's running the back end, the technical part of this webinar. So appreciate her for really making sure that this is coming together. Well, make sure y'all click to save the chat so you can get all this amazing information and contact information. And Brother Coakley, you got the contact information that's in the chat already?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. All right, so we look forward to seeing you at our next upcoming events, and y'all take care and have a great day.
Thank you.